Gemara today's daf is daf Kuf Zayin, and we were in the middle of learning that David Melech put himself in this invidious position. He told the Eibishter, I'm equal to the others because you can test me, and I will definitely pass with flying colors. The Eibishter says, I'll make it as easy as possible for you, and you're not going to pass. So we're up to the Gemara here. We'll just go through this last part again. Actually, we're starting Gemara again, the story. Top of the page. Kuf Zayin Amud Aleph. A person should not bring himself in a position that he has to be tested. He put himself in a position of initial, and he stumbled, he failed. Why is it? Why don't we include me in Shemnesser? I tested, but you I did not test. You can go ahead, test me. He said, test me. Means tell you what, means Allah, I will test you. And I'll do something for you I didn't do for them. Them I did not inform them what the test will be. I will notify you. That I am going to test you something to do with erva. Immediately what happened was he was that night. He stood up from his bed. First of all, what does that mean? He stood up from his bed. Don't wants to make sure that he has no lewd thoughts during the day. So therefore, he used to have relations during the day. So the rest of the day, he can sit and concentrate on his learning. But it's alman halacha. He forgot. Interesting, Gemara calls it halacha. He forgot a rule in life, and that is eva cotton yesh ba'adam. That we have the male member. Maz biyoi. The more you say it, rav, it always wants more. Umarivoi. That if you fill it, otherwise you lose interest, then Sava full doesn't come back to you. Anyway, what happened was halachal gag based on Malach went onto the roof. And you saw Isha rechetzes malagag. You saw this woman bathing on the roof. The Isha tevis malamoid, and the woman was very attractive. Who was she? Basheva Haba. She was Basheva. She was going ahead and shampooing her hair. Trusek Talsa. She put usually it's a kaveres, like a beehive, a cylinder. She had a cylinder over her, so she was serious. Nobody can see her from other roofs. Also, Sutton came along. The Sutton, Eid Maleket Ziparta. The Sutton came along and appeared like a bird. Possibly Gita. And we learned before, David Melech, he saw this deer and he shot the deer. He liked hunting. Even though we discussed in Native Yehuda then, that talks about how it's not a Yiddish profession or a Yiddish sport, going hunting. But there's no Isser in it. And the Moshe brings about the shoes, the leather shoes, whether you should say Tzarais Gesundheit, just Chadish or just Bala. And he says, I mean that on shoes, leather shoes, you don't say that because what you're really saying is we have to kill more animals to make them produce the leather. And it's a pasnish. And then he says, but it's not a question.
If you're not killing it l'shem achila or l'shem using the leather or something, isn't it even about tashkis?
So regarding shoes, it's not about tashkis. He needs it for shoes. That's why the Ramad doesn't agree with those people. But the Native Yehuda goes in that shuvah by this rich man. What's it? A rich man who owned forests and forests, and he asked the Native Yehuda, am I allowed to go hunting for sport? And the Native Yehuda brings that it's a sport for Ace. So he goes through the possible problems, and he says there's no problem about tashchis because you're having some benefit from it. There's no problem of tzab al-chaim because you're killing it on the spot. He goes through all the possible avedas, and he dismisses them all. But then he says, who in the Torah do we know was a Yedei Tzayid? Nimrod, Esav, doesn't bring David HaMelech. Yeah, there he's shooting at it. A bird, he's shooting at it. What's he shooting at the bird for? Anyway, possibly Gira. No, he says it's not a Yiddish sport, but not as Isser, as more ethical. It's exactly what a Veda is that. It's not a Veda, just that it's inappropriate. Possibly Gira, he shot an arrow. Poska lechalsa, he missed the bird, but the arrow broke through the cylinder. Igalia, suddenly he saw who was in the cilia, Chazia, and he saw her. Miyad, immediately. He went and sent somebody, that's the wife of Rechiti. David sent messengers, took her, and had relations with her that very night. He miskadeshed Mutumasa, she was no longer a Nida at that time. And she went back home. Behind the Chsiv, And that's what the pasuk said. That was a test, and he failed. B'chamta libi, that you tested me. Remember, you remember by night. Saftani, that he's supposed to edel me out, refine me. Baal Timsa didn't happen. Zamoisi, my muzzle, Bal Yavapi, should never leave my mouth. I should never have said what I said. Test me. Omar, what words came out of my mouth? Somebody hates me, still about himself in third person. I shouldn't have said it. David HaMelech's big sin was Bathsheba, and we had in the end of Hazo, the whole story there, which part of it will be here. But what actually, big machlek is Rishonim. We had the Gemara Shabbos. The Gemara says, "Kol misha Davar Torah, ein elo Torah." Whoever said Davar Melech made a mistake is making a mistake. Is making a mistake. The Davar Melech didn't do a sin. So the big machlek is Rashi and Tais in a few places. What exactly happened? Because it says, "Kol Yitzil Mechanah Beis David." Anybody goes, anybody goes to the war of David, they used to write a get. Machlek is Rashi and Tais is according to Rashi, it's an unconditional get. It's an unconditional get. According to Tais, it's a get with the condition. The condition was that if I don't come back. And if I don't come back, I don't want you to remain aguna. So then retrospectively, I'm giving this is the get from now. So Traces asked Rashi, if it was an unconditional get, then what did the Melch do wrong? Why she was divorcee. So everyone said what he did wrong was according to Rashi. But even though people gave a get, they did it. Even if it was unconditional, they did it because they didn't know if they'd come back for the war or not, and why should she remain on Aguna? But the intention always was to come back, and her intention was to wait for him to come back. So therefore, it was totally unethical. According to it was just not right. Even according to Taisa that said it was a conditional get, so Donald did not do an Aveda because Uriah got killed in the front. And then retrospectively, the get was a valid get, so it means B'Shas Ma'isi. But at least according to Taisa, B'Shas Ma'isi, he didn't know that he will die. And therefore, B'Shas Ma'isi, she was an Eishadish. And that's why the Eibishter and everybody came out against him. By the end, he didn't do an Aveda. But
it's one thing.
It's one step more above Rashi. He found a legal loophole. According to Taisa, it's a legal. Yeah. Yeah, and it's worse than Rashi because at the time, she was an Eishadish. At the time, he didn't die yet. He was still in the front. And he came back afterwards. He, in fact, don't call back. Yeah. So the Gemara, the first wide line, second wide line. It says in Pasuk, what will be people say about me? Nudi that a mountain moved a bird. I moved the mountain with a bird. Forgive me for that sin. I don't want people to say, your mountain, which is Melech, is a bird, because he shot the arrow at the bird, and he missed the bird, and therefore the cylinder broke, and therefore you saw Bashab and so on. Now, if you think about the story, right away you can see it's clear that this is how it was meant to be, because she was 6 years old. Actually, we hadn't been so murder. She was 6 years old at the time. What did he see? There's such attraction at 6 years old that he and boom that night and straight away to have relations. Logos, definitely min hashamayim. This was his zivug. It was always had to be this way, and therefore, and the Melech felt that this was his zivug, his bashet, and that's why he decided to make sure that it happens. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. She was a 6 years old. Or according to actually, she was 5 years old because she had a child first and died. Then Mishloim Melech later. Torah showed my listen to you. To you. In other words, there was no Veda here. Not Veda at all. But to you, it's possible for David HaMelech to behave the way I did. He said, in order to justify your words, he's saying, you know, you'd say have a kafin if you want. And don't know sort of saying this. I could have restrained myself. Why could I restrain myself? She was 6 years old, 5 years old. I thought you know why I did this? Interesting. If I would have passed the test, you not only said you gave me a test, you were convinced. You said that I'm going to fail, and if I passed, it'll be a chil Hashem.
Because the Eibishter was wrong.
Because the Eibishter was wrong. So if I made sure I failed, so you should be right. You ever hear a reverse logic like this? So this is. Torah Shirova Ma'ipsi. Rava said this is that it says. Kiani letzela. Because remember, the Eibishter chooses. The Eibishter says what he says. You did already. So therefore, it was you that your behavior that told me. If you would not have done it, then I would never said it. that you would fail. Ki ani litzala nochain u'machoi v'neged sami. I, the established, and the pain is steadily in front of me. Ruyos Basheva, Bas Eliam, what do you mean the tzela, the rib, which is Adam Rishon Chava? Ruya Haisa Bash, and this is what the Gemara sort of saying here, that the suitable Basheva, Bas Eliam, the David, Meshes, Mebrachis, from the beginning of time. Ela Shabola B'machav, instead of coming straight out, it came through a back door, through pain. The whole David genealogy came through a back door. Yishai thought he was having relations with the Shivcha, turned out to be with his wife, and all that. So the Yetzirah, the Satan, shouldn't obstruct David and Melech and the Shama coming down. From the beginning of time, exactly. Really, she was set aside for him. But Ochla Paga, he ate the turnip when it was still half raw. In other words, he could have waited a little longer. It would have panned out that this is what, if it's Bashert, it'll happen. But he made it happen. It says, it says in the Pasuk, that they all rejoiced and gathered together. And when I was limping, it means that it wasn't me limping, that these people who are lame, they came and joined together. If you tear my veins open, you'll find there's not a drop of blood left. After all the taunts and the ridicule and the humiliation that they put me through, you'd rip my flesh. I got no blood left. Because what happened in the blood escapes and you become all pale. And they're constantly embarrassing me. It goes even further. Every time the Chachamim in my generation are learning, Mrs. Bezin, they interrupt the learning. David, they were taunting me. So tell me, if somebody has a relation with a married woman, what's the punishment? He gets chenek. But v'yesh, I knew what they're trying to get at. So I said, but even though you have chenek, v'yesh l'chegam haba. You have a chegam haba. Aval malbim pnei chaveda berabim. You embarrass somebody, ain't l'chegam haba. You have no chegam haba. David, even when he was weak, remember he had 18 wives. He had relations with every one of these wives. Remember it says, that I heard of it with my kvetch, my groaning, my moaning. I filled my bed every night my bed, but with tears I filled my bed. No, even though it was pain, I fulfilled my oina. This is an incredible Gemara. David HaMelech wanted to worship Avodah Zarah. Remember the logic we just said, he didn't want to make a chil Hashem, that the Eibusher, when Avshalom was trying to kill David HaMelech, he said, well, here, David HaMelech decided, you know what, I'm going to go din Avodah Zarah, worship Avodah Zarah. Shenemar, as it says in Pasuk, where he David bought Ad HaRosh, he came to the summit, Asher Yishtach L'Sham L'Elihim, where they bowed down to gods. The Eirosh of Avodah Zarah. Shenemar, it says over there in Pasuk, well, who, Salma, Reisha did have that there was over there a fixture or a sculpture that the head was made out of gold, top made out of good gold. So therefore, he was going to worship Avodah Zarah. Came across him. Chushi Arki came along to him. Chushi Arki came to David HaMelech, and Karua Ketanta, his shirt was torn. V'adama Rosh and sand on his head. He's doing this because he couldn't believe what he was witnessing. David, can you imagine the Chil Hashem? They're going to say that David HaMelech is worshiping Avodah Zarah. So David's response was that he said, I had no breda. Because otherwise, if I don't and allow Avshalom to kill me, Melech Shekemoisi Yahagenu B'nai, a king like me, who's supposedly such a choshev person, chosed Asher chosed ani, and so on. I was. If I was in a situation where my own son killed me, people would then turn to David and say, what kind of God is this that allows such a great king to be killed by his own son? It'll be a chil Hashem. Mutav yavad Avodah Zarah. I'd rather serve Avodah Zarah. So if my son kills me, they'll say the reason why I happen is that I deserve it. I deserve to be punished because I did Avodah Zarah. That's why I did it. If you remember, we had an ending Mark Suvas, that David HaMelech. It was. It says that if you go from Etzisrael to Chutzlar, it's like you're going to Avodah Zarah. What's the lashon? It's Kimisha Ein Lokai. If you go to, I forgot the first one was ready, but it says if you go to Chutzlar, it's Kimisha Ein Lokai. In fact, those people who are not said Pufaket that I to us. He says Hador b'chus is kimish ein lelaka, but he does have. But Hador b'Yisrael kimish yesh lelaka means they don't. Exactly, Pufaket. Oh, anyway, bottom line is David HaMelech ran away from Avshalom and he left Eretz Yisrael, and that's what you mean over here that he was like the Bush of Eretz Yisrael. And he was saying to him, "Why'd you leave Eretz Yisrael?" Oh, my time at Knesset Torah. He said, "No, you're looking for Avedis. I'll tell you what happened. You want to know why Avshalom did it to you? It's your fault. Why'd you marry a fast Torah? That's why it happened to you. Won't be Chil Hashem. But people will attribute it to that.
Fast Torah means Bashem.
No, because Avshalom's mother was not the Yid. I remember we had the 400 Bachim that he had, but he captured different Yifai, and some of his children were their kids. He said, "Why you Master so Chushi Ark?" He said, "Why did you marry Yifai?" And that's what people are going to say, that you deserved what you got from Abshal. Her name was Macha, and she was a daughter of she was a princess. Amalei Fastoy, what's the problem? Nachmanashai, say this as clothing. You say it. You're allowed to take Fastoy. Amalei the Smuchin. Don't you believe in Smuchin? The Samachle, the next pasha is Ki Yili Ish Ben Seder Moda, and call on Noisi Fastoy. Yes, Ben Seder Moda. That's what happens. You marry Fastoy, you have Ben Seder Moda, you have Abshal. So nobody's going to have tinus to the bench, they have tinus to you. Is compared to a what do you call it, business person, a kusi. Why? Because a kusi, a peddler, is different than others. Doesn't go and try to sell you an expensive item. He sells them cheap. A little bit at a time. A little time you can spend. Oh, it's $1 here, $1 there. You don't tell them the mark of $200 a kilo. You say, you can get 5 grams. Saffron. Saffron, the spice saffron is like $25,000 a kilo, but nobody buys by the kilo. You buy a gram at a time, 2 grams, and so it's only
packed in one little strain.
Exactly, yeah, 2 grams, and it's only $25, and then you slowly buy more and more. They don't realize that's what he did. What do you mean? This is what he did. He chips away, little. Shagias miyavin. Are you worried about the shagi that I did? How can anybody make sure that you never do a shaggy in your life? You know what? Then he goes, okay, now you have the next question. The starter is Nakani Avedis I did, but actually I did it amazing, but only you know about it, discreetly. So you know what? What about the people know about, could you be me as well? Should be I don't want that these people should be able to control me. They shouldn't use me constantly as examples. No, so the word over here is like, don't use me as a mushal. Like we said before by the Dal Missus. Shemikilach Amachliu. Vini Casey Mepesha Rov. Do me a favor. Take away the big sin. Don't tell anybody the story about Bathsheba. Just keep it between us. That I cannot do. I cannot take away any psukim. My huge and I took away the letter Yud from Sarai, and I called it Sarah. Oh, you made it Sarah Kamashonim. Yud was complaining. You took me out of the Sefer Torah. Achaba Yeshua Sabtu until I took that Yud and I added to Yeshua's name. It was many years later. Yeshua. He's called a Parsha. Called a Kamakam. Home to remove the entire Parsha. So how did Moshe Rabbeinu's name get taken out of the Parsha about the Tzavah? The letter Yud couldn't be taken. Was really taken out. So
was it taken out? It was never put in.
And the story of Bathsheba wasn't put in either, till unless many years later. As soon as it happened, it was sort of written. Even though we looked at, Shmuel wrote the part that he's alive, and then later, other than we had ended first page Mabasa, who wrote what. Anyway, when the case in the Pesharov, to forgive me, forgive me of that sin. Amar, he said, I can't. Your son Shlomo will say in his wisdom, and he says the following. He says, will a person cut down a fire that he has in his bosom? And if you have a fire in your bosom and you cut out, meantime, while you have a fire there, you don't think your clothes get burned. If you're walking on coal, but you don't think you'll burn your feet. If you commit adultery with a married woman, But how can you remove that? You're affecting three people: yourself, the woman, and her husband. Can't take that away. Yet, I'm like, so he said, for what one Aveda, especially we conclude it's not even an Aveda. David Hamelech, I guess this is the whole, Doslan Nobi. This is the Aveda that everyone held in contempt. Those who held in contempt. He said, can't you get Amalek Kabbalah Yisunim? He said, you Makabal Yisunim? Keep it up. He said, yeah. Amalek Marav, Shisha Chadosh in the style of David. David Melech had Tzaras for 6 months, and the style came in the Shechina left him. Well, Pisha Mena Sanhedrin left him during Tzaras, because you have to be bothered, to be alone, in solitude. He'd start, he had Tzaras. The Chila says, "Techateni, clean me, be'ezoi with the hissa, turn. I'll be clean. Techapseni, washing me, mishalig. Techapseni, washing you, mishalig. I'll be in snow. I'll clean myself out. In other words, with mishalig, which is one of tzaras, clean me out, and also the ezoi, the hissa, is what you use to clean out the mitzvah. The stalker man, Shechina left him. The says the Shiva says, bring it back to me. Why was the last the Shechina left him? Then afterwards he said, please come back to me and support me. Well, Parashah Sanhedrin, left him. The Shiva says, Yeshua all those who fear God should come back to me. Shisha Chadosh non. I know that it was for 6 months. See, because in the Cheshbon we missing 6 months of his reign. It said by Yom Mashamol Dor Yisrael Aboy Mishana. David Melech reigned for 40 years. Bechevron Molach Shavashad Bechevron he reigned for 7 years. Mishlayim Molach Shloishim Mishasham Mishlayim he reigned for 33 years. Or and it says that Bechevron Molach Al Yehuda. Another pasuk says Chevron he reigned in Yehuda with 7 years and 6 Chadoshim. Where's that 6 months? In the other place, Yom doesn't mention 6 months, and here it mentions 6 months. I mean, Shvamran is Tara. Even though he was a king, he wasn't really a king because he couldn't function. He was Tzaras. But like the trace of the Rishonim, not here, but other Gemaras, whether the 6 months are part of the 40 years or it's 40 years plus 6 months. And he said to him, forgive me for that sin. After the 6 months, they just said, you makabel Yisurim, Melchim. So then he said to the Eibishter, I say, Imi Oisla Teva, do me a favor, make me a sign for good. The Yerushalayim never ever should let my enemies see it, and they should be embarrassed that they're mocking me all the time. Ki at Hashem is aton chamtonim. You're on my side, you're supporting me, and you forgave me. Amalei b'chayechin, and my dear, it's not going to happen in your lifetime. I want you to still feel the shame. Abel ani media b'chay shleim ben chal. Notify the whole world in the times of Shleim Yisrael. B'shah, we had a story in the beginning of Shabbos. The second time, Shah Shabbat Shleim Beis Hamidrash, and Shleim built the Beis Hamidrash because Lachal Beis Hamidrash. He wanted to bring the audience to Kedushim. What happened was Dafku Shah Zebazeh. The gate sealed shut, couldn't open it. Amad Estim Babarin. He's at 24 in Veloy Nena, and there was no answer whatsoever. Rashi said between the words Trila L'Moshe or Trila Tchina and Rina, there was 24. Open the gates and let the open forever. That they should come in. The door still the gates still remain shut. Do not turn away. Remember, David Amelech miyad. And then the gates open up. So everybody was witnessing this. What did they see? That the Eibush won't forgive David Melech. But all the enemies of David suddenly became black and ashen, like the bottom of a pot. They were embarrassed. Everyone knew the Eibush finally forgave David Melech for that sin. It's amazing. This Gemara here calls it the whole time Aveda, 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 and the Gemara Shabbos says, "Kol misham I'll tell you." So and we said that because it's inappropriate, it's a pasnish. But here we're calling it an oven. So I guess it's a pasnish for a certain person of a certain caliber. Is considered an Aveda. In other words, it's not an Aveda for anybody else, but on his dargah, we expect something else. That's what Medaktik in the Chutasayra. Because for a tzaddik, you expect something else. Gay Chazi, it says, and we had heard before that, Rabbi Elazar Hurkens, he was told by Rabbi Kiva, you told us there's no tzaddik but Yasser Layechta. Everyone has Layechta has a little sudden on their madrega. Until the Rebbe explains when the Arizal says, and it says, "Made sure the Komishay the Boicher the Einish Maser Shlema." What do you mean Einish Maser Shlema? If you're a tzaddik, what are you supposed to do? He said the very fact that you're in a goof, that itself is a chsad, and it should bother you for being in a goof. It's not your fault. Maybe should created you, but that's the mitzvah. That's a chsad. Okay, now we learn about Gei Chazi. So this is the last one. chronologically. I told you last time. Aleph Bez Gimel Dal. That's how you remember the four Yates. And the last one chronologically is Gimel is Gechazi. See, it says, what's the story? The Vayelach Elisha, the Mesech Leicha, where they go? I'm going to be the Mefoshim actually say the most is Pasuk. They try to work out what Pasuk we're talking about. He Taka went to try to convince Gechazi to come back, because he was the one who pushed Gechazi away, and Elisha was punished for pushing Gechazi away. So now he felt remorse, Elisha, to try to get him back. But the Chazir refused to come back. You told me, you cause others to sin, there's no tshuva. Now, what did Gechazi do to others? We know the story. Gechazi will soon see that he took money from Naaman and so on. But where was he machtis rabim? So we'll soon see something interesting. My Avad, what did he do? Ikidami, they say, Evan Shei Eves Tola Lechatas Yeravim. People started to lose interest in the Yeravim's, Eglim of his calves. So what he did was, what the Rambam explains, he put, I guess, tall trees, he put pieces of a metal sheet here and a metal sheet there, very high up, and there were magnets there. And he put also the piece of metal on the calves. So the magnet on the tree was so powerful that the calves picked up to get closer, but because they were on both sides, the calf was sort of suspended midair, and everyone was convinced that this is a mice and nest, that the calves are avodah zarah. So what he did was he created the interest again. So he was chayta machzas rabim. The Gemara say, but how does that fit into his character? Because Gechazi also was a big Talmud Chacham, and his avodah was he was corrupt. But this is going a step further. So obviously, once he got punished for that, he decided to get angry. The grandmother says, "Shame chakak b'piyah," that he put the Abish's name in his mouth. And this calf started to say, the Ten Commandments. So they started to believe in it. The third opinion says, look at that. The first two were to do with avodah zarah. The third one was he did not allow Talmidim to come into the base of Medrash to learn from Elisha, and that, it seems to me, is like equal to the other ones, and Zechita Machtas Rabim. Now suddenly Gechazi is gone, and suddenly became very tight. It became very narrow. Why? Because a lot of Talmidim came back in. But prior to that, it was not a problem. Because it was not narrow. This is the famous saying that a person, on the same time, when you want to reprimand somebody, at the same time, show him some love. Like Elisha. So that's what the figure ever told Gordon's father. Right? You go to these places, the bathhouses where they have the saunas and everything else, and there they pick you up, and then they warm you up, and then they give you schmitz. They hit you with the sticks to make the blood circulate and all that, and you ask for more. So if you warm somebody up, then you can give him schmitz, and then it all works out. In other words, you have to be able to make a happy marriage between Smel Deicha and Yemim Bekareves. Now, and what do you mean? Loike Elisha Shadachal Gechazi B'Shtei Yadayim. He rejected Gechazi outright. What's the story? Gechazi says, Naaman said, he said, well, you know what? Kach take kikrim. So what happened? He told her, I'm going to give you 2 kikar kesef. Elisha refused to take it. Elisha, mine Gechazi, and then Gechazi went chasing after her. And Naaman said, Elisha changed his mind, give it to me. Then when he came back, Elisha said, where were you? I went for spazier here, there. I didn't go anywhere special. My heart tells me exactly what happened. The ace, the kachas is like kesef, the you went to get the money and you took the godim. 8 things you took. The godim clothes, asim alakramim, tzayim, boker, vabodim, b'shvachas. 8 things. So the Gemara, mishakol kulai. In the pasuk it says all he got from him was kesef v'godim. Naaman came and brought the kesef v'godim, so he took. Who the shakol? You know what the 8 things are? Not that he took 8 things in Naaman. He got punished with a parsha of 8 things. Shemona shratzim. Elisha was learning the sugi of Shemona shratzim. Naaman sartzva. This is the story. Naaman was sartzva melech Aram. Naaman was basically a general by the king of Aram, Mitzayda, and he became a tzayda. So this girl who was a captive, taken from Yisrael, he also the Gabi Elisha. If you go to Elisha, he can heal you. Kiyasa, when he came, Amalei Zil to Yadin. So Elisha said, go immerse yourself in the Yadin. He's laughing at me. He said to her, Hanu, those people with him said to him, what's the big deal? Zil Nasi, go try it out. Go into the garden. Ozli went, he was cured. Also, isolate call honey dunaket. He then brought all of these things. Like Chavi the Kabulne. Elisha didn't want it. Gechazi, if the Mikami Elisha, Gechazi then departed from Elisha. All the shock, he went to Nam and took it. My the shock, when we talk about Afkin, and he put it aside. He also he came back. Chazi Elisha, let's and he was punished immediately. They had a that was forming on his head. And Elisha saw that. Oh, Malay Russia. She get the schar of the Shmoyne Shrotzim, but Saras, Naman, Tidbak, Boch, was Archadar. That Saras that left Naman should go to you and to your children. The Yotzamofon of Mitzayde Kishola went out, he left Elisha like a Mitzayde, and then the next parasha we talks about there was big hunger in Israel, about Bo Anoshim, the 4 people went to one of the camps and they saw nobody left there and they were free. Hayim Mitzayim, who are these 4 people? Pasach Hashar, Rabbi Yechon, Gechazi V'Shloisha Bono. The attack was Mekuyim. I once heard a Rav give a Rosh and he said, he traveled all the way to Elisha to get a cure. Elisha gave him a cure and he didn't want to do it. What was that all about? So he said, the problem is that most people, when you go to a doctor and the doctor says, just go to sleep for a few days, everything will be all right, you're not happy. You want a pill, you want an antibiotic, you want something that you think that is, it can be so simple. People don't realize that sometimes the straightest, the shortest lives, distance from one point to another is a straight line. Everyone wants dafka krum. They want dafka the most complicated things. The more complicated it is, the more you walk away thinking, "Wow, this doctor's really good," because he gave me 16 different medicines. And he says, "No," and that's the problem with Naaman as well. Just go in the yard and that's all. Give me something else. Give me another trufa. And then he became a Ger Toshav, except he said, "I'm going to the cloister. He's leaning on me when he goes to Bate Beizora and he allowed him." Sorry, what do I have?
There's a whole piece here that you don't have.
Nope. And that I don't even have. Yeah, there is. Okay, I'll tell you tomorrow. I didn't see this piece.
I've just got an empty piece of page here.
Yeah. I have a whole. Actually, there's another piece of Gemara that I missed out. Also on the bottom, I had a piece about those 2 Yidden who were taken captive with a camel. Sorry, this is Hagoyz with Tziyonim. Anyway, we'll come to the last block. It's not a full page. We'll have a little bit of time. I'll tell you the 2, might be more pieces that we missed out. Says that Yates Tinnig Isha, when it comes to the Yates for and a child and the Isha, if you completely, like we had before, if you completely control yourself, then nobody will get married, nobody will have no children. If you have no control, there'll be no end to the Avedis. So you have to taste modach, you have to do everything with a measure. So and also they said, but Tinnik and Isha, if you push them too hard, they can just leave altogether. So we said, but the Yetzer Hara should be Yamin and Smile. In other words, you should find a happy measure. You should have an interest in what's going on in the world, but with some measure. And the Tinnik Isha also, you should be Yamin because if you're too harsh with your child when you're raising a child and you're too strict, they'll rebel. And if you're going to be strict with your wife, they'll walk out on you. So you have to learn how to be everything measured. Elisha was punished. He had 3 sicknesses. One of them was, we learned the story there. Remember those people, those kids who taunted Elisha, and like Dubim there was nothing there at all, and he went ahead and then 2 bears came out and killed 49 or whatever, 12 kids. So we blame Elisha for that. He shouldn't have pushed Gehazi away. He did okay. He was corrupt, but he didn't have to push him away completely, because from there he went worse. And it really went worse, and he made that the Egel. I want that Elisha eventually passed away from. It says Elisha Chola is Cholia. So it says Chola single and Cholia was total 2, a total of 3. Ad Avram loy hayazikna. Till Avram, there was no sickness in the world. One day you're just walking, and the next day you were dead. We had this in a Seicha in Bava Tzia. Call the Chazi hayazikna. Call the Chazi Avram. Hayitzchak. Everyone looked. Nobody got it. Nobody aged. They saw Avram. They thought they saw Yitzchak. Call the Chazi Yitzchak. Avram. By I can't take it. Everybody thinks I'm Yitzchak, Yitzchak thinks Abraham. The level is ignorant. People, as time goes on, should look older, so we'll know who's the father, who's the son. I'm talking about Yom. Ad Yaakov Bechusha. Nobody gets sick. Boy Rachme Bechusha. And the idea of getting sick, as Ash explains in there, is that so you can give a tzavot to your children and pass on, prepare your family for when you pass away. Ad Elisha lo havi inish cholish the miftach. So till Elisha, you got sick, you died. But also Elisha Barach Meitbach, he got healed because he was sick 3 times. Twice he got healed. So it says Elisha Cholas Choliv Asher Yomus.